All right. Seems to be working. Okay. All right. Hey, listen, it's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I'm Ethan Van Sciver, 26-year veteran of the comic book industry, world's most charming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. Great big Star Wars fan, trusted member of the media. Am I coming through okay? That's what I'm concerned about right now. I still do not have trustable, reliable internet access. And I'm streaming from an extender upstairs in Hunter's room. And for some reason, it's working a little bit. I'm actually able to do a couple of things and I edit a couple of videos. So I'm hoping this will actually last. But if it doesn't last, it doesn't last. We'll just be happy to say hello. Welcome, Singing Piranha. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Let's see. Can see and hear you fine. Uncle Ethan says Count Falconer. That's good news. So I'm gonna pray that this works for a little bit. I'm just gonna do a quick stream. You guys, thanks for being here. I just, it's weird to not live stream for 2 days. It feels odd. It feels like I'm doing something wrong. Now the cable guy is coming to fix this tomorrow, but until then, like I've got really shaky internet access and it sucks. Comics Exposed says, Ethan, what did you think of Billy Tucci taking a picture with drag queen Chuck Rosansky from Mile High Comics? God, that was so scary and weird. I didn't see it, but that sounds like something Billy would do. I mean, that's okay, whatever. All right. So in any case, good morning, everyone. It's Saturday morning. Happy to be with you. Happy to talk to you about stuff that's going on. People are sending me stuff from San Diego Comic-Con, and what I'm hearing from most people is that it's very, very odd. There's this sense of denial. They've decided that the way they're going to deal with everything terrible in comics right now is just pretend that it's not happening. If they can just get through a convention by creating enthusiasm and buzz, not talk about the big problems that really exist, the substantial problems, ignore Comicsgate at all costs, then things might be okay and they might be able to get through another San Diego. But still, some weirdness is coming through. Dan DiDio got up and did DC. What does he call it? DC Nation, the DC Nation panel, and actually said, I mean, he started out the conversation by saying something along the lines of, we don't even know what comics are anymore. Can you guys tell us what you want? Like, what are we doing wrong? We're hearing stuff about this and that, about sales numbers fluctuating, about monkey business in terms of sales figures, and then also let's see, and then also variant covers and things like that. This isn't what comics should be, and so please tell us what you think we should do. That kind of confusion is pretty scary. Dan DiDio is honest about stuff like that. I expect him to kind of just come out and say, I don't know, what, guys? It's the end of the world. We've reduced everything. We've reduced all of our publishing plan by 24%. We've shuttered Mad Magazine. We've had to shutter Vertigo. We're firing important people, who work on our staff. So what? What do you want? Swinging Cod, thanks for $2. Got Mike to admit he's 5'7" on Twitter. Am I still coming through? Is it F? Guys, can you see me or no? I'm still hearing good mornings and stuff. Yeah, it seems like if you guys can still hear me, let me know. Yes, okay, good. I'm still on. I see it cycling on my iPad. All right. If I cut out, you guys will understand why. Okay, my cable is not working. My internet is not working because of a storm. It's shorted out, and I'm not going to have clear, reliable service, I guess, until tomorrow. And I don't know why it took 4 days. 4 days for what I pay for internet. 4 days. All right. So there's negativity out there. There's some negativity. At the very least, there's confusion. Somebody sent me this article from last year, which I thought was pretty amazing. And this represents an alternate point of view that I can't relate to, but it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that this is what some people believe comic books is. This is an article from a guy named Augie de Blech. I don't know who he is. Augie de Blech Jr. How do you pronounce that? Blech? Augie de Blech. He's been a comic book he's been a comic book journalist for a long time. I mean, decades. And a lot of the stuff that he writes is kind of negative, but he works for CBR. This is from October 2018. And he says, seriously, don't be a comic book artist. Just don't. And look at this picture here of a comic book artist. You would think this was taken in the 1800s, but it wasn't. This was taken a couple days ago. And in an SJ. Well, he's not. That's a real man. That's not an SJW. That guy actually combed his hair. And he's not surrounded by empty cat food tins, and he doesn't live with 18 cats, and he doesn't live with 6 roommates. So I guess he's probably, this is what being a comic book artist must have looked like in like 1940. All right. But he says this, and this is a point of view that you're going to hear a lot. I always heard Mags Visaggio go, hey, there's no money in comics. What do you think? We're getting rich in comics? Darth Sabi says, still better than Australian internet. Is it really bad over there? Yeah. I don't know. All right. So you say you want to draw Spider-Man for a living? I have some thoughts on that. This article isn't ideological. It's practical. It may not be fun to hear, but I see all the misery and desperation in the comics industry. And I think sometimes it's good to be reminded of some of this stuff. Okay. Career suicide. The worst decision you can make as a creative is to pursue a career as a comic book artist. Boy, I mean, the negativity that these people bring to this incredibly fun industry is something else. The worst decision you can make as a creative. I don't think so. I think, boy, that's shocking to me. Let's keep reading, Augie. There's very little upside to it. There's no money in comics. I guess that depends on how you define no money and also how you approach comics. There are a bunch of different ways to do comic books. Comics, can be, you can do autobiographical comics. You can do comics where Snoopy is a sex object. And then you can spend most of your time on Twitter talking about how you want to blow up diversity in comics in a landmine, make him a quadriplegic. You might not make any money. You might not make any money if that is your point of view about what comic books are supposed to be and what it means to be a comic book artist. Anywhere that you go, that you pursue a career in creative, almost anywhere that you go, you are going to have to put aside. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to work for hire to some extent. You're going to have to decide. You're going to make choices about what it is that you want to actually draw. If you're going to do comics like that, if you're going to do comic books that are for a tiny little audience, yeah, I expect that you're going to find that there's no money in comics, especially after SJWs have basically chased off everyone who was enjoying comics and spending a lot of money on comics. He says the only money is in licensing. Okay, there is great money in licensing, but that isn't strictly true. There is money in doing comic books. If you want to work for Marvel or DC Comics, drawing for them, drawing one of their you'll make 6 figures. If you're drawing Superman, if you're drawing Teen Titans, if you're drawing Green Lantern over at DC Comics, you're going to make 6 figures as long as you work kind of hard and your books kind of sell. You're going to do pretty good. Is that not money? Is that no money? I don't know what no money is. I don't know what these people are talking about. I really don't know, like, what define no money to me. Is that how you wish to pursue your creative agenda, dealing with lawyers? Oh my God, what a child. For a select few, there's a superstar status in the comics community and bidding wars over your services that might kick off once you're a full-time employee at Marvel or DC. This will only last for a few years at best. You want that Marvel DC exclusive contract so you can get healthcare coverage or whatever other guarantees one of those has. Do contracted creatives get a 401k or anything like that? I don't know. People usually stop talking about it after healthcare. Marvel Comics used to. Marvel Comics used to have a 401k if you signed an exclusive with them. I don't think they have it anymore. I worked there for a year and a half, and I just cashed out of my 401k with Marvel. DC never did, as far as I know, not for like just freelancers. Mexican Iron Man says, Hail Caesar, last night was victorious on another campaign. Last night, that guy is wrong. Comicsgate is right. Of course. Yeah. All right, let me just scroll back here. Okay, yeah, we're all caught up. Yeah, of course. John Malin hit $50,000, I believe, from what I understand, on Graveyard Shift. All right, so he says it still won't guarantee you credit in a DC television series, though, or a dime from overseas sales, and that's your best case scenario. There's a lot of assumptions here. As the artist, you can only work on one book at a time. That limits your opportunities and your chances for success. So you say you want to be a comic book artist? No, don't. Save yourself a world of trouble here. Okay. Some of this is true and some of this isn't true. This is pretty ridiculous. There is money in comics. There is money in comics. I was making about, and I'll tell you guys, I was making about $250,000 a year freelancing for DC Comics. There's plenty of money in comics if you work for it. It takes a long time. When I first started working for DC Comics, there was zero money in it. I started working on Impulse. I broke in working on Impulse, and I was being paid something like $150 a page, maybe a little bit more. It took a long time. This is the thing that you need to understand. When you break into mainstream comics, or when you break into comics at all, it's going to take a long time for you to get yourself into a position where you are making decent money. I mean, I remember my 20s being a living hell. My 20s were always just like, oh my God, there's no money. How are we going to pay the bills? And I'm down there just penciling, only penciling Impulse, just penciling. Now, at some point, I started to get smart and understand how the business worked. And I went, why am I penciling so tight and turning my pencils over to an inker who sometimes will make it a little bit better, but for the most part has to carefully trace what I've done, and oftentimes will get an eyeball out of whack, will make faces look weird. Pilgrim Driver, thanks for $2. Just bought a #1 Cyberfrog on eBay, 1979. 1979. 1997, you might mean. Oh, 1996. What does 1979 mean? Yeah, that's odd. Caps Live. Hello, Ray. Hello, Blue Squadron B. Hello, Brent. Nathaniel Menda says, you can multiply my money easily. Jay Mill says, Hail Caesar. Hello, Adrian Stone. Yeah, it feels weird doing this live stream because I feel like it's going to kick me off any second now, and I feel very uncomfortable. Guys, give me a minute here. Let's go. Whew. All right, let's relax. Let's believe in all of us together. Let's believe in this internet connection. All right, let's take a minute let's be hippies. Hold on, let me turn my camera. Let me turn my camera back on so we can actually look eye to eye, and let's just believe. Let's believe in this. In this internet connection. Okay, you're going to stay connected to the internet. You're going to be able to do this live stream. It's not going to kick you off, Ethan. And I know you haven't done this in 2 days, and you might be nervous because your listeners expect so much of you. They expect so much quality from a Comic Artist Pro Secrets live stream. It's okay. It's all right. Even though other factions or forces are working against you, you can do this. Amen. Okay. All right. Let's go back to this. Why did I say amen at the end of that? I wasn't talking to Jesus. I was talking to the universe. All right. So that's the case. When you start out, you're not going to do so well. So I actually said, why don't I just ink myself? Why don't I ink my own work? Why wouldn't I ink my own work? Why am I working so hard penciling for like $150 a page when I could probably double that if I ink my own work? And that's what I did. I went to DC and said, I'm tired of working with inkers. I want to ink my own work because the way I'm penciling is so tight. If I just drew with a pen, then I would get done in the same amount of time, and I would get paid twice as much. And you know what DC Comics said? They said, okay. They said, now you're now making $300 a page. So now I'm making $300 a page. But the thing about it is that when you're inking your own work, you get double the royalties. Okay, so for an issue of Impulse that happens to sell over 40,000 copies, I'm getting a nickel a book over 40,000 copies. Now I'm getting a dime a book over every 40,000 copies. Now I'm getting 10 cents instead of 5 cents. And suddenly, not only has my income doubled in terms of just what I can do with my hands, but I'm also getting 10 cents an issue sold over. I'm getting all of the royalties for the art. And that was a big deal. That made a dramatic change in my life. And from then on, just working, doing better things. The next thing I did after Impulse was Jeff Johns and I kind of became friends during that time. He was new to DC Comics, and so was I. And so we said, let's do a book together. Let's do Flash Iron Heights. And then we went to DC and said, we want to do this Flash book. And they said, okay, it's a prestige format book. You're no longer going to be paid a page rate. You're going to be paid a book rate. Well, we thought the ceiling for a penciler was $200. $200 was the most a penciler could get paid. Yeah, but that's only if you're getting paid a page rate. If you're getting paid a book rate, we're going to pay you for the entire book. We're going to say, you know what? For this entire book, you're going to be paid $15,000. So you break that down into a page rate for a 48-page book, and suddenly you're making more. Suddenly you're making something around, I don't know, I can't do the math. But that was a bump up. And then from there on, the glass ceiling kind of broken. You can continue to, as long as that book's a hit, as long as it's a success, which it was, you can continue to ask for more and more and more money within comics. You can do it. Now, I did hit the heights. He's right about one thing. For a select few, there's superstar status in the comics community and bidding wars over your services that might kick off once you're a full-time employee at Marvel or DC. That is not why. The reason why there was superstar status is Wizard Magazine. Wizard Magazine made superstars out of comic book pros. Wizard Magazine was excellent, and we killed it, didn't we? The comic book industry killed Wizard Magazine because here's what happens when you become a kingmaker, like Wizard Magazine was. When you become a kingmaker, everybody tries to influence you, and then all of these people who are envious begin to talk smack and try to bring you down. Wizard Magazine was a kingmaker, and I remember people saying to Wizard Magazine, to Gareb Shamus, like, "Hey, when you guys choose who's going to be on the top 10 writers," I remember one writer in particular saying this. I know you just throw a dart at a list of names, and then you just choose the number one writer based on whoever that dart lands on. So how much is it to make that dart land on my name? How much is it to make that dart land on my name so I can be the number one artist or writer for Wizard Magazine, which will change my whole life? So what do you want to? You want to actually influence this king-making magazine, Wizard Magazine, and once they don't do what you want, once Wizard Magazine doesn't bend to you and listen to you and give you exactly what you want, give you the attention that you deserve, disquiet foments. And people start to talk smack about Wizard Magazine. And before too long, they brought Wizard Magazine down. And while this was happening, while Wizard Magazine was being brought down by this jackal pack of envious bastards, I was doing this. I was going, no, you idiots. Wizard Magazine is the most important thing. It is a missionary for the comic book industry. It is a missionary for the comic book industry. You have this beautiful glossy magazine with gorgeous, like Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, Bart Sears, whoever is doing the cover that month. Beautiful glossy color covers. Great big logo that says Wizard, the Guide to Comics. Packed inside is a sparkly trading card that you get for free that's exclusive to this magazine. What 13-year-old doesn't want to buy that magazine? Every 13-year-old wants to buy that magazine. That is how we got new fans to come into the comic book industry. And Wizard Magazine captured their attention, made us look like rock stars. And yeah, there were many times that I was the number one artist. I don't have any of those magazines. I wish I could go back and find those issues of Wizard Magazine where I was often on the top 10, but I think I was number one like 5 times. I would love to find those copies of magazines so I could show Andrea and say, see, I am a big star. See, I am a big player. I am a rock star. See if I could convince her of that. But that was important, and that magazine is gone. And now there is no one to make you a superstar. There are no superstars in comics, except Interestingly enough, the superstars that were made during the Wizard era. Hey, thanks, JDC says that this guy's article is describing everyone who enters any industry as a novice. Pop culture fools people to think that 20, 30 somethings live lavish lifestyles when in reality, that's when you build. Yeah, your 20s are a time to work. It's people when people say life begins after 40, that's what they mean. You've done all your work at your 20s and 30s. You don't really start making real money until you're 40 unless you are a pop star, unless you're Britney Spears or Justin Timberlake. And even they're in their 40s now, I think. I can't be sure. I don't know how old they are. All right. In any case, Jalapeno Milk says, can we give some love to Chained Coffin on IndieGoGo? Talented artist, but he only has 2 backers. I never heard of that. Send me a link. Deculture says, I'm a bit late. Good morning, Uncle Ethan. Thank you, Deculture, for being here. And also thank you for joining the channel. Those of you who are wondering how come there are people with green names, these people are channel members. They're bidding, they're not bidding, they're promising me $4.99 a month. They're pledging $4.99 a month to this channel's growth and success. And for that, their name gets green and they get access to a whole list of exclusive channel, exclusive emojis, et cetera, et cetera. So please do consider joining the channel. Just Mercy says, Uncle E, can you get an interview with Dave Sim for Comicsgate? I probably could. Yeah, Dave Sim's wacky enough that even after our problems, I'll bet Dave Sim and I could do an interview together. But it's not really what I do. I don't want to interview. I interviewed people at this channel's start. I had a different attitude about what I wanted to do with comics. It's not so much what I want to do now, so I'm not sure if I'm going to ever go back to doing interviews with comic book pros and pretending I just don't care. I mean, all of these people, you guys have to, these people have to save themselves. As we watch what's going on right now in the comic book industry, I'm worried for everyone. These people actually do have to do something to save themselves. And I hope they figure it out. I'm trying to do what I can for the comic book industry, and not the mainstream comic book industry, but an industry in which comic books get sold. That's my mission, I think, in life, is just to make it so comic books can still be sold. So in any case, let's get back to this now. So for a select few, there are superstar status in the comics community. Not anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm trying to think of the latest superstar that came out of nowhere before, like after Wizard Magazine. Would that be Robert Kirkman, maybe? Robert Kirkman? Was he post Wizard Magazine? I have to think about that. Very, very few people are able to get the press and get the attention of the comic book community at large, or the comic book fandom at large, without something like that. And we killed it. We gutted it. We gutted Wizard Magazine. So there aren't these people, and they just don't exist. They just don't exist anymore. And the comic book industry has been poorer for it. And people, the attention they're getting, the comics that are being sold have declined, have become fewer and fewer because of that. I can't believe, I thought this industry was mentally ill when I saw them going after Wizard Magazine. When I saw them going after Wizard Magazine, I really thought that there were mental problems abounding in the comic book industry. Why would you do that? Why would you go after a missionary, somebody who's actively making everybody, but maybe not you, maybe you're somebody who hasn't yet caught Wizard Magazine's attention, but for the vast arching comic book industry, Wizard Magazine did nothing but good things for everyone, brought attention to the comic book industry, made many, many, many people very successful and very famous. And I think that kind of rising tide did, in fact, raise all boats. Not to the same level, but it did work. And everybody was happy. Everybody was making a lot more money. And if they'd seen what the future was, if you people had seen what the future was, what this present is right now, our current present, our current predicament, would you have torn at Wizard's throat like that? Garib Sheamus, calling him a criminal. All this weird stuff, all these bribes. Fuck it. It's just a disaster. This industry wanted to die. I won't let this happen to Comicsgate. I can't let this happen to Comicsgate. Blaine 20 says Wizard was the maxim of its time, except the hot chicks were drawn. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, the hot chicks were drawn. and now let's see. Oh yeah, okay. I'm all caught up. Yeah, there were a lot of like pinups, a lot of like bikini issues and stuff like that. The Wizard was sexy. It was I don't know. It was better. All right. So Marvel, here we go. Marvel and DC exclusive contracts. Can you get healthcare coverage? No. No, there's no healthcare coverage. Marvel and DC provide it to their employees, but remember this: you're not an employee. If you have an exclusive contract and you are working with Wizard or DC, you are simply someone who is guaranteed continual work, but you're not an employee. You can't. That's the thing. So you don't get to get their healthcare coverage. Now they used to offer it. They used to make it a bonus for an exclusive contract, but they stopped doing that after Obamacare. And I remember I had an exclusive contract only so that I could get the healthcare. I wanted the healthcare for my family. And as Obamacare came on and was impending, they held out for 2 years. And both of those 2 years, they doubled it. They doubled my premiums. It was like, hey, right now you're paying $800. That's half of your healthcare payment. You've got to pay that. We'll pay the other half. And then it was like, okay, you're going to have to pay $1,600. And then it was, you're going to pay $2,200 the year after that. And the year after that, they just canceled it. So we can't afford it anymore. We can't afford to keep providing this. So they canceled it. And then it was like, DC gave everybody a balloon payment, just a flat payment. If you had an exclusive contract, they gave you a big check. And they just said, use this for your healthcare, but we can't provide it anymore. So that was the situation. There's no 401k. I don't think there used to be one at Marvel, but not anymore. People really wanted their healthcare coverage. George Perez was working at DC Comics only for his healthcare. Last time I saw him, I was in a car with him and Jimmy Olsen. I was in a car with George Perez and Jimmy Olsen, and we were talking about everything, talking about the industry. And he's like, I'm not, he's like, I'm no longer working actively at DC Comics. I don't want to do whole books anymore. He's like, I'm just going to do what it takes to pay off my half of my healthcare payment. That's one cover. So I'll do one cover a month. And then I'm just going to do commissions, because you're allowed to do commissions. You're allowed to do commissions when you're exclusive. You just can't, you can't work for other companies. So, somebody like George Perez is just like, I don't even know why I'm doing comics anymore. I can make more money just drawing individual pieces of artwork that are only going to be seen and enjoyed by one person. It's depressing and true. Seeing if I can find that picture of me and George Perez and Andrea and Jimmy Olsen. Those were good times. Yeah. I can't find it right now. In any case, that's the thing. It's slowly, it no longer became feasible. At some point, there are going to be people who are going to pay big guys like Adam Hughes and George Perez more. Blaine20 says, new to the stream, so sorry if you've discussed this. Have you thought about starting a publishing marketing vendor firm for inelegant comic creators? No, I haven't. A lot of people say to me, there are a lot of people who say, you should actually create like a startup, so that people who need help can actually get their books started up. You could do the marketing and everything like that. I have yet taken one penny. I have not taken a dime from anyone who I've promoted, except in super chats. It's like people super chat me to shout out their book, and that's fine. I consider that to be no big deal. But when it comes to actually actively working on behalf of other comic book professionals or people who want to be comic book professionals, I haven't done it, not professionally. If I did, it would be interesting. Here's what would happen if I did. If I did, people would stop fighting over it. If I said, I will promote your comic book actively as an agent, and it's going to cost you 10%, then you know what would happen? There'd be a lot less fighting in Comicsgate. because people wouldn't say, well, he's showing preference to this person or that person. It would just be, well, this guy's paying 10%. I'm not doing it. I could never do that. I would never be able to. That's not who I am. I can't do that. When I tell you I like a comic book and that you should buy a comic book or support a comic book, it's because I genuinely like it. You know, the idea of taking a small, I can't do that. That's just not right. It's not right. You know, yeah. Hmm. Sab Overby says, I hate the fighting. I hate it too, but people are going to fight. There's nothing, people are going to be people, and you can try to get people to get along, and they'll get along for so long, but for only so long, but then they will fight again. That's the way it is. Migo Batman says, guys like EVS, Byrne, Perez, and other pros could start an Image-like publisher, shared universe, and succeed where Image failed. Yeah, I don't. But the thing about it is that, again, we don't have the same platform that Image did. We don't have a healthy and successful comic book industry. We have to make one. There's no the comic shops are all closing. So it's not like people are like, well, you could just do what they did again. I'm like, no, we would be reboarding the Titanic. You want to get back on the Titanic? The Titanic has split in half and it's sinking. We can't get back on. We can't get back on the Titanic at this point. We have to actually row our boats and see if we can find an island somewhere. That's the way it is. All right. So, yeah. And by the way, this guy's just talking about, look, licensing. Yes. Licensing is good. This is why Comicsgate will succeed. Licensing is good. We force you to make your own IP for the most part. If you want to be a part of Comicsgate, you're creating your own thing. And in creating your own thing, you have the rights to your own thing. And yeah, if it's good, if it's something like Graveyard Shift, which I think is excellent, eventually it's going to have a TV show, it's going to have a movie, it's going to be something. That's where all of John Malin's big money is going to come from. Cyberfrog 2, we're going to get a Cyberfrog animated movie together. We're working on that. Straight to Blu-ray and then straight to Netflix. I mean, imagine that. You can do that stuff. It's easy. All right, so look at this. Timing is everything. Just before I published this essay, Phil Hester tweeted. Phil Hester is an artist from Green Arrow. He said, comic book careers are like musical ones. A vanishingly small number of us can fill arenas. A few can get a hit or two and can tour our whole careers. Most are just gigging at local venues. Some are jamming in the garage. I'd like to jam you all in a garage and set fire to it. I mean, are you kidding? These people. I mean, come on, guys. You could do big things. Believe in yourselves. Believe in yourselves. I didn't mean set fire to it. That makes me think of was it Whitesnake? Who was that band that did a gig and the whole arena or the whole building caught fire? It was very sad. The thing about people gigging at local venues and jamming their garages is they have day jobs or incredibly supportive and understanding families or rich parents. Yeah, we've seen a few of those. But here's it's not just that. It's that you should start doing this. You should start doing this when you're a kid. You should start doing this when you still live with your mom. I started, it was Great White. Thank you. It wasn't Metallica. It was Great White. I started doing this when I still lived at home. I was 19 years old. I lived with my mom, and I drew a comic book page every single day. Every single day. She was feeding me. She was paying my bills for the most part. That's when you should do this. You shouldn't try to do this when you're in your 30s. Jalapeno Milk says, please hire Narwhal for Cyberfrog movie. His art moves. Oh, that's a good idea. It wasn't Sabaton. Blaine20 says, I asked you on Nick's stream if you had any ideas on how to help out a brick and mortar comic shop. My friend's is languishing with only $13K a year profit. I'd like to get yours, Doug's, and others' comics on his shelf. Do I have any ideas on how to help out a brick and mortar comic shop? I'd have to think about it. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There, creativity, creativity comes into play. People used to say, "Well, bring more people there. Bring comic book professionals there to do signings and stuff." Yeah, that works a little bit. That'll kind of rev up the engine a little. But you do need to be more creative, and it's possible that your location is bad. There are all these things that you might need to consider why your brick and mortar comic shop is not working out. But at the same time, I'm telling you, the comic book industry is, you know, it's going down. It's going down real quick. John Hallman says, bring back horse and drawn carriages too, EVS. Yeah. Sell those pops. Yeah, pop figurines for now. That's the current Beanie Baby. You hear that stuff, it just weighs on you. It does. It just weighs on me. I hear that and I go, oh man. And I just hunch forward like, oh, what if you're a comic shop? They're the victims of all of this. Comic book retailers are absolutely the victims of all of this. They're the victims of SJW Comic Book Pros, and they're the victims of of the big companies. They're the victims. They're the ones who are being exploited. And sure, they could make better choices for themselves, but I mean, they're actively being preyed upon. They're the ones who have to sell all this nonsense. You've got comic book pros that don't mind just jamming in the garage. They don't mind just gigging at local venues. They're not trying to produce anything that's sellable. They're just producing whatever they want to produce, and then they offer it to comic book shops, and comic book shops are actually supposed to sell it. Comic book stores act almost as agents for these ne'er-do-well comic book professionals who produce unsellable shit without an audience. There's no audience for this. And then you got brick and mortar comic shops like, I'm not making it. I'm not making it. What do I do? I don't know. It's like, what if you're a shit salesman? What if your store is just you're just selling various kinds of animal feces? How do you sell that better? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you sell it. It's not sellable. Nothing these SJWs are producing interests anyone except for themselves, and they don't even buy it. Drives me insane. Blue Squadron B, thanks for $4.99. My local comic shop just put up a massive Crafton Marvel poster in the window. Send help, EVS. They'll pay for that, believe me. Storytime with Yang Yang Zo says, comics and games and cafe is the way to be profitable. Games, definitely. Games are a big deal. And having a cafe wouldn't be bad. Just if you were to sit in there and play Magic the Gathering and be surrounded by comics, a nice place, but not everybody can afford that. Some people just have a little kind of hole in the wall in the strip mall, But, if you were going to be successful, having a large establishment with a big open floor and room for nerds to sit down and play board games and play games, card games, have coffee, have food. Ideally, that would be it. Get a liquor license. That would be the ultimate, A Pilgrim Driver says, could Comicsgate open a brick and mortar shop? No, because that's the opposite of where we're going. I mean, Comicsgate's position is basically, look, these retailers, we don't actually strictly need the retailer. We love them. We want them to succeed. We'd like to be able to sell to them. But the problem is that SJWs will get in between us and retailers and make it so that our comics can't reach their hands. We will be sabotaged. So what Comicsgate's position is, we're going to find a way to send directly to the consumer. We'll produce fewer comics, but they're going to be bigger, they're going to be more expensive, and then we will ship them straight to the customer. And I believe that is the future of the comic book industry. Oh, I'm going to go off. I'm feeling the Holy Spirit now. There it was. Remember when I just sat there, I was in the lotus position, and I was trying to get my bearings because I was worried about my stream dying? I've got it now. The electricity is in me. I remember why I stream now, to shout about stuff like this. Snarkticon DM says, back in the 90s, I was in high school with a comic shop a block from school. I used to skip lunch and use the money to buy comics every day. No regrets. Got so many fantastic books. Hell yeah, comics used to sell themselves. Liam Gray says, my artist in Xenotype is a little younger than you were when you started, and we're working our butts off every day. It's so exciting. That's great, Liam. Rock and roll. Oniro Hero says, as an aspiring CB artist, I want to make stories, not messages, characters, not caricatures. I don't want to hear the opinion of some X-year-old SJW thinks of comics. It wasn't made for them. Ideally, your comics are made for everybody. People can either accept them or not. But I mean, you want to make comics that appeal to the widest possible audience. And when you target your comics at a tiny little demographic of weirdos, and it doesn't sell, and you don't make any money, and you complain about jamming in the garage, you can jam it up your ass. You asked for this. This is what you asked for. When you targeted a tiny little demographic and said, we need to be representative, we need to, some people just want to see themselves reflected in the comic. If that's what you want to do, you can do it, but be prepared to fail. That's what's going to happen to you. You're going to fail, and then you're going to look enviously at people who are producing Spider-Man, for example, which is for everyone. I mean, that's a comic book that is for everyone, and you're going to wonder what happened, and then you're going to get bitter. Snarkticon DM says, good morning, star ma'am. Want to buy some shit? Yeah, see, that's that. I don't think that kind of a brick and mortar shop would actually work. Just a poop salesman. I'm not sure that it would work. All right. I mean, this is the thing. This is what it's all about. The comic book industry is going to have to change. These little pamphlets don't sell anymore. Why are they still doing this? Why do we still live in a world where we insist that people get out of their home when we know that people do not want to leave their homes anymore as much? People are staying in and they're purchasing things. They're like, well, should I go shopping for this new outfit or these new shoes? Or could I just go on the internet and have it sent to me? Why would I go out? Why would I get in the car, expend gas and energy, pause my day to go out to the mall to buy shoes or something like that when I could just go on the internet? This is the way the world is working now. It's adjusting to be like this. And this industry is built on two big fundamental flaws right now. The first one is you're expecting people to get up, find a comic book store because they're only sold in comic book stores, okay? And then experience the comic book store experience, which isn't necessarily great. We have people right now who are actively trying to exclude comic skaters and make them uncomfortable when they go into comic book stores. We don't want your business, your comic skate. That sounds familiar. Can I sit at the lunch counter? So we've got that. People don't want to go out. People don't want to go. And you're asking them to go once a month. You're asking them to go once a month to buy a $5 floppy pamphlet, 10 minutes of entertainment, and it's probably going to insult them. That is not sustainable. That is not tenable. That is not going to last. It's not going to last. And then we've got another thing. These people are so goddamn stupid. They're scratching their heads every single time. It's like, okay, so we put out Spider-Man #1 and it sells 100,000 copies. And then we put out the same book. It's the same content, the same quality. Everything's the same, except we put a #2 on the cover and it sells 40,000 copies. It declines by 60%. And people go, what? Why is this something that we need to keep doing? Why is this model something that we need to keep following when it's clearly not working anymore? And so the answer to these people is, well, just cancel books and just keep putting out new #1s. That's just not the way to do things. At this point, why wouldn't you just do what I say? Why wouldn't you idiots listen to me? Ethan Van Sciver, call me Caesar. This is why you need to listen to me. If it is a fact that 6 issues worth of a comic book decline in sales so drastically from issue 1 to issue 6, to the point where Mags Visaggio could put out a #1 book and the first issue sells, say, 6,000 copies, and the last issue sells 900 copies, why does it make sense to break the book up into 6 parts? Why wouldn't you just put the whole story together into 1 volume and offer the whole thing at the cost of all of those books combined, all of those issues combined? You put together a 6-issue volume trade paperback and you say, here it is, it's $25. And then you sell it, you've sold all of the pages for the same cost that you would have gotten for the single first issue, just the first 20 pages. Why are we still doing this? Why is everybody so goddamn stupid in this industry? Stop cluttering up the shelves with these pamphlets that nobody wants. Let's go European. Let's start putting out let's put out books. Let's put out beautiful books. And they're 100 pages long. And you're asking people, you're saying, this is it. Here's the book. You are going to sell all of those pages. All of the pages that you worked equally hard on. And you're going to sell the same number for the first 20 pages as the last 20 pages. Doesn't that make sense? It just makes sense to me. We have to change. And then you're not cluttering up the books. You're not cluttering up the stands with these pamphlets that become unreadable. They're not purchasable after. The thing about comic books is they're like baked goods. They're like bread. If they don't sell, these retailers, they buy a single copy of Spider-Man. They pay $2.80 for a copy of Spider-Man that if they sell, they're going to make $1.20 profit on. And if it doesn't sell, then it's in a month, then it's actually stale. Nobody wants it. Nobody buys back issues, and it's going to go into a bin, and maybe you're going to get 50 cents for it. That is not sustainable. People keep saying also, they're like, why doesn't Comicsgate just lower their prices? Why can't they put out comic books for $5 a piece? No, because we have to mail these to people. So how about if instead we do exactly what I'm saying, put out bigger books, charge $25, only do one a year. Maybe you can do two a year if you're awesome. I'm not awesome. I don't think I can do two a year. But just do one a year, charge $25 for it, and ship it straight to your customers. They've got a longer read. They can spend more time with the book. They can enjoy it more. They wait for the next one. You do one a year, just like Harry Potter, just like the Harry Potter series. Oh, we're not doing that. Just like Twilight, these people will wait. Fans will wait. We already saw that they waited for Harry Potter. They waited for Twilight. They waited for, whatever what was that book about kids shooting each other with bows and arrows in the woods? We saw that they waited for those. They'll wait for these too. Of course they will. Ron Crossman says, off topic, but 50 years ago today, 40,000 Americans achieved greatness when Armstrong took his first steps on the moon. Also, you missed my other chats. Don't worry, I'll go back and get them. I was yelling. And how about that? Apollo 11. Cracklin says, the idea of what is heroic is fundamentally different to SJWs. They either want comics to change to their ideals of heroism, or they want the comic industry to die. That is 100% correct. They don't care that the comic book industry is going to die because of them. They would rather let it die than relinquish control of it. So we have to let them let it die, and we have to move on and do something else. Malfunction, thanks for $1 donation. I appreciate that. Crazy Manor 2003 says, I don't think that's CG's position. Isn't the whole point of Zach's lawsuit about getting comic books into stores? No. Zach's lawsuit is that there should be no interference about getting comic books into stores. That's what it is. It's not ultimately because we want to be we want to be able to get into stores, but nobody should be able to stop us. Social justice warriors should not be trying to stop us. But ultimately, as Zach said in one of his videos, he says, we love comic book stores. Go find this video. We love comic book stores, but we don't need them. And we don't. Hatch45SX says, got Asami and waiting on Flying Sparks any day. Well, that's good. All right. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. We just don't want to be denied any freedom. I mean, everybody should have freedom. You should have the freedom to be in comic shops if you want. But ultimately, in my opinion, that's just not the future, because it's just not sustainable right now. Sean Tillman says, Uncle E is preaching the good word. Get Zach in here and get some of this fire as well. Hail Caesar. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if Zach even wants to be in here, but I'm nervous about inviting other people in here right now. No, Zach just wrote to me to let me know that Mags Visaggio was up for an Eisner Award, and the Eisners happened yesterday. And Mags Visaggio, Eisner Award loser. She didn't win. So she can keep that sign on her table that says Mags Visaggio, Eisner Award nominee. Jalapeno Milk says, just back Six Gun Gorilla. Thanks, Ikari Press. Six Gun Gorilla is great, by the way. Can I just tell you, I read it. I read Six Gun Gorilla. It got sent my way, and I read it by the pool. I really, really enjoyed it. A lot of religious references to it. It's a search for God. Sam Owen says, hey, Uncle E, I'm more of a manga guy, but I just picked up a copy of DC Rebirth. Amazing work. Curious, which parts did you draw? I think I drew the first 13 or 14 pages, Sam. That's me. So let's see here. Yeah. Wow. Richard Lewis became a member. Thank you, Richard Lewis. Appreciate that. Snarkticon DM says, let's sell books fatter than Gail Simone. Well, not in so many words, but okay. Nathan Norman says, Eisner Award loser would be more accurate. Yeah. Being a nominee, it's an honor to be nominated. I'm an Eisner Award nominee too. I don't really talk about it. I was nominated for an Eisner for Sinestro Corps War, back when people were actually given Eisners based on merit and not based on, social desirability. Sinestro Corps War #1 was such a substantially awesome book. People didn't even know what to do. People were like, what the hell, EVS? And I said, I know. I was nominated for best penciler inker team. And that's me. That's why I insist on being called they, them. I'm a human army and a one-man army. Yeah, I was penciler inker team, best penciler inker team. New member, thank you for joining, Dr. Martin Luther Pepe. I appreciate you. Appreciate you joining. Who won? Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Durads won. Best limited series. It was supposed to be Batman White Knight, Sean Murphy. Damn it. Eternity Girl by Max Visaggio. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. That book was garbage. Exit Stage Left, The Snagglepuss Chronicles by the horrible Mark Russell, Mike Feehan, and Mark Morales. X-Men Grand Design Second Genesis by Ed Piskor. And the winner was Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Durads, which I guess makes sense. People really like Mr. Miracle. But Batman White Knight should have really won. I think he was robbed. Max Visaggio didn't belong there, but I'm really glad she didn't win either. I wonder if my brother won. Did my brother win? Bleeding Cool. What was he nominated? My brother was nominated for like 2 different awards. And I don't know if he won or not. I think if he won, he would have just said, I won. Let me check and see if he texted me. Nope. Nope. I don't know. I guess maybe he didn't win. Will Cyberfrog get nominated for an Eisner Award? Almost definitely, and it will win. It will win the Eisner Award. It has to. It'll be the greatest book of all time. Yeah. All right. So, in any case, let's get back to this depressing garbage. The healthcare thing. Side note, the reality is if you're in America, it's your responsibility to take care of your healthcare. This isn't the place to debate the politics of that. I'm just talking about reality here. Hey, Ziranx, thanks for $5. Uncle E, I'd rather not give SJWs ideas to sell their mediocre books. I prefer not to be lured into a $25 book that is 1/5 or 1/6% decent. Well, here's the thing about that. I 100% agree with you, but I think that in this case, what's going to happen is you're going to end up following creators that you trust and love. So, I mean, if you already know me and you already love me the way I love you, all of you, deeply, passionately, not in a gay way, just because I appreciate, all your support. Now, if you feel that way, you pretty much know what my work is going to be like. Okay, I expect that if you're a fan of Cyberfrog, if you're a fan of Green Lantern, my work on Green Lantern, you're pretty much going to be in for Rainbow Brute, Fearsome. You're pretty much going to be in for the comic book past that, and that's that's you can kind of count on it. I wouldn't take a $25 chance on an SJW or someone that I didn't know. I wouldn't, and I don't expect you guys to either. That's going to depend on. All of this depends on these creators actually forming relationships with their customers. Part of Comicsgate, of course, is treating your customers well, getting to know them, being kind to them, heeding their wishes to some degree. The customer is always right. Yes, the customer is always right to some degree, mostly. It doesn't mean you have to decide not to do something that you really wanted to do. That doesn't make the cut. Like if you guys said, I don't want another Cyberfrog book, I want you to do this. I'd say, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to do another Cyberfrog book because that's what I'm going to do. But you can answer that by not buying it. That's the customer's always right. Vote with your wallet. All right, to each his own. But I don't understand how you can feel comfortable making a living in a career that makes healthcare unaffordable and doesn't offer insurance as part of your employment. You are not employed. You are just a freelancer. I get it. You can take the afternoon off to go catch a movie, but you can catch the flu and go bankrupt and or die. But time freedom, am I right? But the gig economy will be the new norm. Maybe, but nobody's getting rich doing TaskRabbit chores and Uber rides. Uber is the house of cards that's wildly overvalued and due for a massive collapse one day. This guy's nuts. I'm a diabetic. This gig economy freelance lifestyle has never been an option for me. I've always made sure I had a job with that as part of the agreement. When I was between jobs, I paid into Cobra and found a new job ASAP with healthcare coverage. This is also, you could just get healthcare. You could just get healthcare. It's not, I mean, if you're working, it's an expense, but it's not like unaffordable. Thanks to Trump. New member. Hey, Luke Hendren. Thank you for joining. Luke Hendren. Appreciate you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make, I'm going to actually, for new members, I'm going to make a scrolling crawl for the end of my videos with all your names on it. And it has to be something that I can keep updating so I can add people to. But I think I can keep updating it. Shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to make a scrolling crawl like Star Wars, except not as good. And it's going to have all your names on it. And thank you guys for being members of the channel. Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers told me how many members his channel had. I have more. So I was like, yes. Even though he has way more subscribers than me, I have more members to my channel than he does. So I was like, yes, like that. Yes. All right. This is also the reason I've never pursued comics journalism as a career. There's no package to go along with the minimum wage or so that would pay to cover a matching 401k or healthcare or any of the rest. I'd be sacrificing my future to have fun today. That's not worth it. It's not responsible, even if you don't have a family to take care of. Career suicide, part 2. By the way, this is, again, you're not an employee. Stop thinking. Here's the thing. If you choose to be a comic book artist, you are self-employed. You're self-employed. You don't work for anyone. You are hired to do little jobs here and there. You might get hired to exclusively work for DC Comics, but you're not their employee. Liam Gray says, just tweeted you some art. Would you mind taking a look? Well, Liam, I certainly will take a look. Unhinged Crank says, Jeremy is now known as Quitter Jeremy. I got to make a video about Jeremy quitting. I'm going to do that today. Jeremy quitting. It's sad. Well, he's got, like, Jeremy has big ambitions. Like, Jeremy's like, I am going to have a multimedia platform on YouTube. I'm going to do, I'll do the Star Wars thing. I'm going to do the gamer thing. And over here, I'm going to do sports. And I'm just going to have, and I've got 30 or 40 guys on he always says I've got 30 or 40 guys on my team. And I don't know what he's talking about. First of all, I have one guy on my team. It's me. I don't know why I need more people. If I needed 30 people to do a YouTube channel, I don't know. I don't know what I would think. 30 people to do a YouTube channel. I could do this by myself. I'm pretty sure. But he's like, I got all these people to care about. And it's like, yeah, all right. Good. Good luck to him. Yeah. Why did he quit? He quit because he felt like he could no longer devote. He could no longer commit to doing Tuesday nights. He didn't like officially quit like he's never going to do it again. He's just like, I can't be counted on anymore. Coke Van says, holy shit, EBS is a one-man army. I know. I can do by myself what it takes other people 30 or 40 people to do. 30 or 40 people to do. I am impressive. Call me they, them. All right. Very good. Where was I? All right. What is this guy talking about? All right, Karissa. So you're not an employee. Being a comic book artist is being free. It's being yourself. You get to work for yourself. If you don't want to work for yourself, don't work for yourself. Go be a wage slave. You can do that too. There's nothing wrong with that. But that is if your goal is to work in comics, is to be creative with your life. Honestly, there isn't a better thing to do. What do you think? It's better working at Disney? Do you think it's better to be some fucking in-betweener working on the next straight-to-video Disney cartoon? It's not better. It's not better. You have zero creative control. Your name zips past in the credits. Nobody knows who you are. It's cutthroat. The pay isn't good. After I worked at Marvel, I actually took a job interview with Disney 2D Animation in Orlando, Florida. I took a job interview. They wanted me to come in, and I think I was supposed to work on Lilo and Stitch. I think that was the movie that was being made. And they told me what my wages were, and it was just like, I can't afford this. I can't afford to work here. And then to see what I had to do, I had to clean up somebody else's pencils. Somebody else would do a rough. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing. You get to work for the mouse, though. I'd rather die. I don't want to do this. Comic books has always been. I mean, comic books is your ultimate expression. It is, you get to do what you want to do. You're free. Your name, by the way, is all over your work. You get credit. People know who you are when they read your work. It's wonderful. I don't see people complaining about it. Is the money always great? No, not if you're an SJW who wants to do stories about two trans women hitting other people with guitars. No, it isn't going to be good. People don't want to read that. Is it good if you want to do a story about a frog from outer space with cybernetic parts and his gigantic salamander brother fighting an alien invasion of wasps that come in and turn human beings inside out and use their bodily fluids as honey to feed their young? Is the money good? Yes, it is. You could even buy a house with a pool. Yes, it is. And don't think I don't troll these people about stuff like that. It is good. Thank you. Is it good if you want to draw a story about a worm in a spacesuit? Yes, it is. It's good. Everybody can do this. Oh, it's funny. Career suicide. What's at the end? What's the end game with being a freelance comic book artist? You work until the day you die, if you're lucky. If not, you're hoping for help from actor. I don't know what actor is. What's actor? Most likely you'll fall out of style, editors stop returning your phone calls, or the editors who hire you get shuffled around and leave the industry. This is all correct. This is 100% true. Your nostalgic fans stop commissioning you after a few years, and you teach local art classes if you're lucky. 100% correct. That is what happens when you do not take control. It's a never, and by the way, and the thing about it is that you do become a dullard. Being in, like, sitting in your office all day long with your head down, listening to talk radio and drawing comic books, it's isolating. It just, whatever personality you used to have disappears. They put these people on the stage at conventions and they say, they've got fans in the audience who get up and ask questions. Don't ask the goddamn artist. Don't ask them unless it's me. Most of these people don't have personalities, and the personalities that they do have are awful. Just awful. Everything about you erodes. Nomad says, Ethan! Hi, how are you doing, Nomad? He said, that's what I do. Come on. What do you do? Yeah. Starn says, I don't know. This bugs drinking people thing sounds a bit like the plot to Blue Gender. I don't know what Blue Gender is, but it sounds wonderful. It sounds wonderful. Nathan Denner says, people still listen to talk radio? I don't know. I don't know anymore. All I know are people listen to YouTube. Checkpoint says, that guy, can you point on this doll to where Ethan's art touched your soul? Thank you. Yes. Max Mercer says, there are no other artists, only Ethan exists. I've seen no proof of other artists. There are certain ways to make this better. I think there are some artists who are beginning to realize that they are actually entrepreneurs. That's me. And are running their creative life more like a business. That's me. In the long run, those people stand a chance. Thank you, Augie de Blich. It involves creator ownership and building a library and being your own best marketer and several other things. A spouse with a corporate job is always valuable. Why? Andrea don't have no corporate job, but it's doable. I had to get Andrea a corporate job. I didn't know she needed one. She used to work at a bank, but, she doesn't work anymore. She makes me sandwiches sometimes. Yesterday, she made me good sandwiches. She's like, do you want sandwiches? How about some sandwiches and some homemade baked macaroni and cheese? I was like, yes, please. It was so good. It was so good. I was like, I didn't have to make these sandwiches. Somebody made them for me. My wife. I don't want her to have a corporate job. I want her to stay home and hang out with me at the pool and make me sandwiches. Is that too much? Is that me being sexist? Sexist. I'm still trying to find that picture of me and Jimmy Olsen. Scrolling through my phone. Okay. Very few people can afford to go this way. Far too many people are young creatives, are fanboys or fangirls, just happy to get work, to get on the treadmill and feel lucky to not fall off. But everyone falls off. It's only a matter of time. This career path rarely ends well. The excuses are off the table. It's 2018 last year. You can't say you don't know the deal you're getting into when you cash a paycheck from Marvel or DC. Oh, yeah, it's like selling your soul to the devil. This isn't the 60s or 70s anymore. We know more now. You got to understand. You got it. I wish it was still, like, I wish it was 1958. I wish it was 1958. That'd be great. Civilian Citizen says there's no such thing as sexism. And Sabe Overby says you could never be sexist to Anne Andrea. Anne Andrea doesn't believe in it. She doesn't. She's a traditional woman. It's awesome. I love it. All right, so don't be upset. Oh, wait, here we go. Know up front that the work you do will only get you paid once and that they owe you nothing past that. That's not true. It's in your contract, even if it isn't rubber stamped on the back with your paycheck anymore. Don't expect anything in royalties when the vast majority of comics aren't selling any serious numbers. It's all true. I told you guys. Here's the thing. People go, why is it called Comic Artist Pro Secrets when all you do is bitch about Star Wars? No, I also bitch about comics, and I let you guys know exactly, like, stuff that you wouldn't know. I told you guys that it takes 40,000. People don't talk about this. I said, well, there are royalties. You know, you can get royalties, but your book has to sell over 40,000. So, you know, when you look at the sales charts, you wouldn't know that if you didn't come here. You wouldn't know that. That's what I do for you guys. So if your book sells over 40,000, you are going to get a nickel if you're the penciler for every book sold over 40,000. So don't expect anything in royalties when the vast majority of comics aren't selling anything in serious numbers. They're not. Don't be upset when your name isn't in the credits. My name's always in the credits. And you don't get royalties from your latest TV show or movie based on your work. Okay, I won't get upset, but can I be overjoyed and laugh when the fact that they mentioned Iron Heights prison in the Justice League movie, which bombed, got me a royalty check of $100,000? Can I laugh about that? If I could, I'd laugh like this. I'd be like, like that. Wait, hold on. Let me laugh like Mike over it. Or like this. Yeah. So it does happen. This is all defeatism. You actually have to just create stuff that matters. And, you know, is it the best thing to do? Creating Iron Heights for DC Comics, yeah, it's been used in the Flash TV show. It was used in the Justice League movie. All these characters that I create that are used in movie and television, it doesn't pay off right away. It takes time. You know, Chuck Dixon is still cashing checks. He's still cashing checks from Bane. Those Bane checks come in. They come in twice a year. FP Sonny goes, pride is a sin. Yes. So that's the thing. You can expect it. They're not going to cheat you, really. I mean, Marvel and DC are not going to cheat you. You just have to create something of value. Bane is something of value. Atrocitus is definitely something of value. Iron Heights, something of value. All of the characters that live in Iron Heights are of value, and everything I created for Green Lantern is of value. It's paying me now. They're going to have to cut me checks for a long time. DC has to pay me probably forever. I don't have to work there. I don't have to draw anything for them. All right. If you're lucky, they'll wine and dine you with some movie tickets and maybe hors d'oeuvres at the opening of a movie. I never got to go to a movie opening, I don't think. I went to see Batman Begins, like a private showing with DC Comics, but I've never been to a movie opening. I never get to walk the red carpet. I got to do something like that. If it helps their marketing, you can get a selfie with their starlet. This is so soy based. Some of it's good, some of it's real information, but this is so much bitching and whining. And when they cast you aside in favor of the younger, hot up and comer, this guy sounds like he's been like cocked. Who might even be working for a lower page rate. What? Page rates can get even lower? Realize that's how you likely made your door into the industry. Don't tell me it's not fair. All right, well, here's the thing. The truth of the matter is there are no younger hot up-and-comers because Wizard Magazine doesn't exist. Nobody is talking about anybody. There are no hot new artists. Nobody knows any of these. I don't know any of these new names. I don't know them. If they weren't on Wizard Magazine, I don't know who you are. And that ended 10 years ago. I don't know who you are if you weren't in Wizard Magazine. And they're talking about, people being cast aside in favor of young, hot up-and-comers. That's not what's happening. The big announcement at San Diego Comic-Con is that Brian Michael Bendis, who I think was around when cars had fins, and then Jim Lee, they're going to be working together. Jim Lee, again, ancient. I mean, this guy from the 1980s. He's been around forever. People know his name. He's not going anywhere. They're working on Legion of Superheroes together. It's not really, the comic book industry is not moving forward. It's scrambling backwards. It's scrambling backwards to when things were working. And, and for those who, and yeah, he does have a point. It's not about young, hot up-and-comer. It's about foreign artists, non-English speakers, who will accept a rate that's like 1/3 of what you need to live. They're doing that a lot too. Comrade Commissar Yuri says, a question to the chat. If the channel Eckerd's Ladder did a GoFundMe to raise money to be able to continue and lengthen his Star Wars videos like the Battle of the Dreadnoughts, would you fund? I would not fund. I don't think I would fund. But other people might. This is it. Somebody says this is the new Wizard Magazine right here. That is correct. This is, channels like this. We're the new kingmakers. We can make stars out of people. Who knew who John Malin was 3 years ago? John Malin's a huge name now. Storytime with Yang Yan Zhao says, when you're about to drive off a cliff, the only way to go is backwards. That's right. Scrambling backwards like, oh my God, when did it work? When did it last work? Yeah, it last worked in the 90s. So Jim Lee, Brian Michael Bendis. That's good. Few people are going to buy that. It'll do great. That'll be the #1 comic. That will be the #1 comic, probably, that month. Good. If you insist, don't make comic book production your sole source of income. No, also have a YouTube channel. Whatever you do, don't make that mistake. Yes, at the beginning, you might need to be heads down drawing to build up a library to capitalize off in the long term. That might be in residual sales or just the reputation that you can do the work. Have you seen the mess Marvel and DC are in these days? Do you want to rely on them to pay your mortgage or rent? Oh, it's just failure. It's misery. Oh, my God. Oh. Why is this going on? Jesus, up in heaven above, why did you create this new batch of soy-based individuals called millennials? Why did you do this? These people just expect failure. They expect failure. They promote the idea of failure. Success is foreign to them. They don't know how to succeed. They don't know. None of them believe in themselves. None of them think they can do it. They just expect things to be handed to them. They think that everything is twisted and bent against them at all times. And they complain about it. And when other people succeed around them, they have a million excuses as to why that happened for them, but it can never happen for anyone else. They have opportunities. They have opportunities in front of them, Lord Jesus. This is my episode of cross-examinations. Lord Jesus, they have opportunities in front of them. They don't recognize them. They insist on failing. They think everyone's out to screw them over. And then when they fail, they just go, I figured. I don't understand. Nobody could have come from less appealing, less promising circumstances than me. Nobody could have. I mean, I always say, well, look, the Van Skyvers lived like it was a third world country, and people say, no, you had a roof over your heads. Yeah, barely, we did. You're right. So let's not take it too far. But me and Noah, my brother Noah, we were raised more impoverished than any. It's impossible to conceive of living in poverty like we did. My dad made like $8,000 a year, and I had 8 brothers and sisters. We relied on help from the church. It's like, but I never, there wasn't a point in time when I thought I am not going to make it. The deck is stacked against me. The chips are stacked against me. I'm never going to succeed. I always thought I was going to succeed. I remember walking down the street when I was 12 years old with my friend Vinny, and I turned to him and said, I'm going to be famous one day. And he said, I know it. That's so poor. And it's so poor. And yet, it's like, no, there's nothing but opportunity out there. There's nothing but opportunity. Anyone can succeed. And I mean, we have this thing, Comicsgate, now, where it's just like, we took something bad. We took something that was meant to destroy a whole group of comic book fans and professionals. We turned it around and made Comicsgate mean something substantially awesome. Something that you could wear. So you can carry a flag for Comicsgate, and you could say, what does this mean? This means that I'm going to take the bull by the horn, and I am going to actually just believing in a few principles, just recognizing a couple of areas in which the mainstream went wrong. We're going to do the opposite of that, and you have an opportunity to succeed like you never could have in the mainstream. Look at these guys. Look at my boys and girls. Look at them out there. I mean, even Mike Miller is succeeding, and he should be failing, and he's succeeding. Even Mike Miller. So it's like I've seen these people complain and bitch and moan and try to destroy and tear down when they could be building things up and succeeding for themselves. Succeed for yourself. Want things. Go get them. Go get the things that you want. Go do it. Figure it out. Figure out where you're wrong, where your attitude is wrong. And this is poisonous. Don't do it. Don't be in comics. It'll never pay your bills. I made more money in comics. And by the way, I'm okay. I'm not the best. Just because I'm Eisner nominated as the greatest artist of all time doesn't mean I'm the best. Just because Wizard Magazine made me the #1 artist like 5 months running doesn't mean I'm the best. Thank you for joining the channel. Anthony Dumlau, thank you very much. I appreciate you. People Circus says Comicsgate is positive. Comicsgate is love. Hell yes. Thank you. You can succeed. You can definitely succeed. You can do great things. You can make lots of money in comics. You can do it. I know you can. If you have talent. If you don't have any talent, I don't know what to tell you. Comics might not be made for you. Okay? I'm speaking only to people who actually have talent. They can write. They can draw. And people are, might find their work appealing. You can succeed in this. You can do it. I'll always help you. No matter how much bullshit that gets thrown my way. And I wake up to drama every single day. I wake up to people fighting and drama and this and that every single day. There's people going, I quit Comicsgate. I don't care. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I will still help you succeed. I will always be here. I'll always be your Uncle Ethan. I'll always be Caesar. I want you guys to win. I don't want you to succumb to failure like this. I can't stand it. I see this and it's just garbage. It makes me feel awful inside. It's just awful. Yeah, you can make comic book production your sole source of income. My God, if you aren't, then how are you spending the time necessary to make comics that are worth spending $25 on? If you have a day job, how do you have time to do something like this? No wonder these comics are trash. You consider it a part-time job. To succeed, you really need to put all of yourself into it. You do. Welcome, Night Sever. Thanks for being a new member. Anthony Dumlow says, is $60 per page a decent rate for drawing comics? No, it's horrible, but it's not where you want to end up, Anthony. But it's fair to get somebody to draw your comic. I would say this. I would say if I were going to hire somebody to draw a comic book for me that I was expecting was going to do, what would I pay someone? I would not want to be paid $60 a page. If I were hiring somebody and I were just starting out, I would say, look, I'll pay you $2,500 to draw my comic book, and I'm not paying it to you up front. I'm going to pay you in batches of 5 pages. So you pay 5, you get 5 pages done. I'm going to pay you your money for the 5 pages. Hatch450SX says that's what most commission artists charge. But anyone who actually worked for me and drew a comic book of mine, right now, of course, I'm going to pay them much, much, much more. Kane White's going to buy a new car. I pay Kyle Ritter twice what most pencilers make, and he's my colorist. I want everyone who works for me to do really, really well. Port Film Co-op says, RIP Mad Magazine, decades of great work. I know. It's sad, but this is just the way it goes. Mad Magazine needed to change. No, not $2,500 per 5 pages. I'm sorry, $2,500 per issue. So let's just say 20 pages. He's going to get paid $2,500. No, okay. I don't. So what does that work out to? I just think $2,500 is a fair price for a small press indie book. You're hiring a good artist, a decent artist to draw. That's what I would recommend. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're going to start an IndieGoGo campaign, get an artist to agree. Get an artist to agree to draw it. Your first expense. So when you're raising money, you have to be ready to pay out, just in terms of your first expense, $2,500 to the artist who's going to draw it. That's first and foremost. And if you can't raise that much, then you probably can't afford to do a comic book. Yeah. It's up to you. I mean, some people will work for less, but yeah, that's what I recommend. Okay. Have you seen The Mess? The Marvel and DC are this mess. Do you want to rely on them to pay your mortgage and rent every month? They can't responsibly schedule a series to give creatives the time to get the work done. They can't start a new shiny imprint without backing off of it as soon as possible. Their editorial decisions are subject to the whim of their corporate overlords. Chaos Miner, thanks for $2. Off topic, thoughts on Saga from Image Comics. I've never read it, but I hear it's great, so I'll probably check it out. You need to be prepared to do other work. It might be comics adjacent, like covers for other publishers, commissions for fans, or the design side of things for action figure statues or something. Yeah, that's all comic book work. It's not comics adjacent. That is work. That's not other work. That's work. If you're a comic book artist and people call you and commission you to do covers, everyone calls me and asks me to do covers. Commissions for fans, don't really do them anymore. Design side of things, action figure statues, yeah, you got to do all that. But it would be a good idea to dip your toes into the animation world or the video game world, see what it's like. I'm not saying either of those is very stable either. Video games are a friggin' disaster. What is this link to? Comics or Gamergate? But at least the animation folks have a union that can help you with healthcare and other benefits if you do work there, though. The animation industry is a little bit more stable than the comic book industry is. Let's be honest. Chaos. Okay, I read that one. Yeah, a little bit more stable. They can have a union. There's no union that's going to happen in the comic book industry. It'll never happen. It'll just never happen. They don't need you. You're not necessary. Skilled animators might be necessary. Comic book artists are not necessary. Drawing comic books and only comic books is a fool's game. Well, call me a fool. Backup plan. Now, if you insist on not listening to my wise advice, I like this guy's wise advice to never do comics. There are things you can do to help your cause. First, make sure losing your biggest client won't bankrupt you. Don't rely on a single source of income. Build up others. Second, become your own brand. Your style, your outreach, your personality, all that adds up to a brand that you can profit from in multiple ways. That's me. I'm a brand. Third, this is a business and not a hobby. Read your contracts. Fourth, own your work. This is only long-term play. If you give it away for the quick paycheck, you're devaluing your work and hurting your future self. This is 100% correct. So far, I agree with all of this. Fifth, read The Only Person Who Can Pop a Comic Book Artist. I wrote that article last year. It goes into more depths on this whole subject. Good luck. You're going to need it. I 100% agree with this section here. Augie is being negative. He's being a negative Nancy. He's being a negative Nelly. But this is true. Make sure losing your biggest client won't bankrupt you. He's basically saying, don't go exclusive. Don't be an exclusive agent somewhere. Yeah. All right. Second, become your own brand. That is important. Everybody knows who John Malin is now. Everyone knows who your boy Zach is. These guys are brands. They are labels. Everyone knows who I am now. We are labels, and being having a personality, outreach style, all of these things. Get on YouTube, get on social media, become a place to gather, become a personality, get to know people. Like I know you guys. It's important. It is a business, not a hobby. Treat it like a business. It's also not a fan club. This is not, it's not a community. It is a business. Fourth, own your own work. That is important. That is that goes without saying with Comicsgate, except for Earthworm Jim. Earthworm Jim is, I think, the only thing in which is the only IP that is not owned by the guy who's doing the book. But everything else, everyone who does Comicsgate owns their own work. That is a lifetime of success. That is a future. I mean, you put your book out, put your heart into it, put your work out. Eventually, people are going to merchandise it. You're going to be able to make a lot more money by just doing other stuff with it. You own it. You are the person who is going to receive all of the benefits of it. And I don't know if I recommend The Only Person Who Can Pop a Comic Book Artist. Let me see this real quick here. Let's see what his tone is here. The only person who can pop a comic book artist? No, I'm not going to be able to do it. I know. I'm telling you, I have no internet. I'm lucky to be still streaming right now. Hello, everyone. All right, so let me just run through real quick, and we'll see super chats if I can see them. I'll try to see them. By the way, I want to point out again, you see that Cyberfrog sculpture on my wall? That was Rick Tier made this. It's a nice three-dimensional paper mache sculpture that I absolutely love. I just hung it up, and I'm really, really happy about it. Also, I got a Salamandroid sculpture in the mail, and it was destroyed. And Andrea and I both looked at it and cried. It was absolutely beautiful. But it is in a million pieces, and we're gonna have to sit down and put it together. And then I'm gonna properly get some super glue, properly thank the artist. Just amazing work. So thank you for that. Am I gonna be able to? Nope, I don't think I can do it. I'm glad I'm really glad that I did most of the super chats as they came on, because now, just to prove to you, how bad it is right now. I have zero internet. And it's, hold on a second, share. Yeah, look, that's what we get now. Nothing. Can't do it. Can't look at things. Son of a B. Let me see here. If I reload this will probably disappear as well. Yeah, I cannot wait until tomorrow. I really want my internet back. Andrew was like, I don't want to live in a world without internet. This is horrible. I was like, I know. We lived through it in the 90s. In the first half of the 90s, we had no internet. I don't know what we were doing. Crazy. All right. So in any case, thank you guys very much for being here. I guess I can't look at whatever super chats I missed. I apologize for that. I think I read most of them. Appreciate you guys so much for being here. Again, thank you for your endless continued support. Thank you for joining the channel. Thank you for super chats. Unhinged Crank says, you are OMAC, sir. You're our OMAC, sir. EMAC. All right. Thank you for that. Appreciate you guys with all my heart. And I really mean it. I try to thank you guys every day for your support of this channel, of my comics. You guys tend to support the comics that I ask you to support, I promote. Thank you for that. Comicsgate succeeds because of you guys. Without you guys, we don't succeed. Without your support, we don't succeed. And there are, let me look here, 1,524 people watching on a Saturday morning. And that's a tribute. That's wonderful. Cracklin says, did you get a Most Humble Man shirt in the mail? I did. Was that you? That was fantastic. Thank you. I wore that 3 days ago. I have a Most Humble Man t-shirt. I will wear it on a stream, and I thank you for that. I appreciate it. Let's see. Anything else? Okay, good. All right, with that, go have a great Saturday. Go have a great weekend, guys. I'll try to stream again either tonight or maybe tomorrow, depending. I mean, tomorrow I should be able to, we'll be back on a normal schedule again. But if not, well, we will be. Tonight I'll try to stream again anyway. So if not tonight, tomorrow. And you guys have a great, great weekend. Have fun. All right, see you.